Hey everybody, James Elliott here with Barron Stark Engineers. Joining me today is our managing principal, Chuck Stark. Today we're going to talk about one of the major projects we've completed over the last few years, Arabella and Burleson. Chuck, why don't you kick it off and just tell us, give us a brief intro on Arabella.
Arabella Burleson is one of the larger projects that Barron Stark has done over the last 5 to 8 years, and it was a very interesting and fun project because truly a mixed use, an integration of commercial, single family, residential, medical type uses all into a very, at 75 acres, a rather compact site for that many different things. And it was really the first project of this type of magnitude within the city of Burleson. So it drew a lot of attention. It got a lot of press when it was going through the planning and zoning phases, and the city was very interested, invested in what this was going to look like because it was a new type of development for their city. It turned out very well, in my opinion. It's pretty much built out now. There's a few commercial tracks are the only thing left, but it's turned out to be a really nice addition to the city, and has been very well received by both the city staff and the residents in general.
Who is the owner and developer behind Arabella?
The landowner and master developer of the Arabella project was Abbey Development. Currently, their headquarters is in Dallas. They recently moved to Dallas from further in East Texas about 3 years ago. Now they've been in the development business for some time, and they have projects throughout Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, and they specialize in like assisted living, multifamily, residential type product. This was their first foray into a large mixed use development. They had the vision of having all these uses tied together. For the most part, they're very tied together architecturally as well as use-wise. They wanted a walkable community. And as the final master plan turned out, we have traditional multifamily, independent living multifamily, which is a age, minimum age group. There's an assisted living center. There's single family homes. There's commercial tracts. There's a large tract of about 7 acres where a church is going in. So it truly is a smattering of all the different types of uses, and as it ripens and the commercial builds out, will very much be a place where people can walk to the cleaners, to the coffee shop or a restaurant, pharmacy, things like that. We incorporated some bike lanes into it so people can, two-wheel around if they wish. Unique for Burleson, and turned out very well.
How was Arabella received by the city of Burleson, and what were some initial steps you had to take leading into that planning and zoning?
Well, like I said, this is a unique project for Burleson. They didn't have any mixed use, true mixed use of this magnitude prior. They were very interested. They were very receptive to the idea, but they had just numerous questions about how does this work? How does this interact together? There were workshop times with city staff about what our goals that we were trying to achieve were, what the city's goals and the things they needed to see realized in the whole process. And it turned out to be a very productive, fruitful planning process. For example, the city master thoroughfare plan had a major boulevard that ran right through the heart of the property that we had to accommodate into our overall design. In addition, they wanted a leg that went south down to another main highways that provided interconnectivity around in that part of town. That intersection gave us the opportunity to install what I believe is the first major roundabout in the city of Burleson. And that was a unique challenge because no one had seen that in that city before. But all in all, it all worked out. City had said, this is a pretty dense development you're proposing. How are you going to mitigate that? Well, the solution to that was about a 9-acre open space, linear open space along one boundary of the project. That has since been deeded to the city of Burleson, and they have constructed, or the developers have constructed, and the city is maintaining a bike trail which is one of the first segments of their overall city trail system.
Chuck, you've alluded to it being mixed use, different components. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those different components in Arabella?
Sure. The very first phase that was developed was the traditional market rate multifamily units. That is kind of Abbey Development's bread and butter product. They have done that at numerous locations. So that's what they felt most comfortable with and had the most experience with, and that was the logical first phase. So that phase was developed concurrently with all the major infrastructure for the entire development. Subsequent to that, the multifamily, while it was under construction, we went into design on the single family component. I believe there were 75 single family lots contracted for by a single builder. That was the second piece of construction to occur, and that section of 75 lots was built out like in less than 24 months. So it was tremendously well received by not only the builder, but his customer, the buying public, the home market. Good looking, is in place, and not a single lot left. What I would call phase 3 was the independent living and assisted living component of the project. Abbey also developed that. They do operate the independent living, which is not too different from the traditional apartments, although it is set up for the older crowd, the people that are tired of having a yard and lawn to maintain. And so there's certain amenities that are built into an independent living facility that wouldn't be in traditional apartments. For example, a movie room. They have a beauty shop integral inside the lobby of the building where ladies can get their hair and nails done and that kind of thing, don't have to travel outside. Centralized mail. There's a cafeteria where you can choose to go eat when you don't want to cook, but all the units do have their own kitchens, and they're fully functional apartments. Abbey owns and manages that. They also developed the adjacent assisted living, and I guess you could say that's where you go when you need care in your daily life. Can't live on your own quite like you used to. Again, they're apartment style units, but there is a central dining facility. You have laundry service, some medical care available, very basic things, but not up to the level of what a skilled nursing facility would be. Abbey self-performed all of that construction and developed them and still owns them. Since those have been built, the commercial tracts have started to come on. There is one commercial center, I believe, under construction now. There is a church that has bought a site, and they are under construction. And recently we did survey work for the conveyance of a smaller commercial lot to a child care center, which makes all the sense in the world. There are now probably 600 individual units there. So that's going to generate some children, particularly the single family and the multifamily components that are going to need child care during the day. So that all the landscaping is in. It's been in for about 3 years, and so it's starting to mature. It looks like, it doesn't look like brand new trees that have been planted out there. They're now starting to get a little maturity, and so just over the next few years, that'll just continue to enhance and give that streetscape feel will just become more and more pronounced.
I know you're doing all the talking.
I know. I was fixing to say,
thirsty.
why are you getting thirsty? I'm doing all the dogging.
Oh. Chuck, can you talk about any local opposition to Arabella?
Sure, and I can assure you there was some. You're never going to be able to please all the people all the time, and there will be someone that is not a big fan of any proposed development. In this case, some of the surrounding established single-family residential neighborhoods had concerns about this independent living facility, which is 4 stories tall, by the way, the assisted living going in adjacent to their back fences. That took numerous meetings with the homeowners groups that represent those neighborhoods. Abbey, gave some concessions on how we were going to screen it, how we were going to landscape beyond the fence. some special facade treatments that face those single-family homes. And at the end of the day, the homeowners were pleased. Abbey was still able to develop their project in a cost-effective manner. And when we had the final PD zoning case at council, they gave us a letter of support and said, we think this will be a good development. It will be a good addition to the city of Burleson. So I think it was a win-win in that respect. But it takes a lot of time and negotiation to achieve that. Because everybody's got an opinion. Everybody wants to be heard and given credence to what they feel is important. But in this case, we did have a win, so that was good.
Based off the master plan, it appears there's a pretty large pond or lake on the site. Tell us about that. Is it there just for looks, or does it serve a purpose?
Well, it's both aesthetic and functional. Having a large pond, and the one you're referring to is somewhere around 2 to 3 acres in size, that's kind of a signature item that Abbey puts in their developments. It's within the independent living, assisted living area, and it's meant to be an amenity to those residences and people that are using those facilities. There's a dock. They stock it with fish periodically so people can fish. But it also functions as the primary stormwater detention facility for the entire development. I wouldn't say this was an infill project, but there was substantial existing development in the vicinity of the Arabella project that was already in place. So with a project of this type, you are increasing the runoff potential substantially when you come in and put this intensity of development, and that has to be mitigated so you don't flood downstream facilities. Well, that's what the pond does. That's its functional aspect. The majority of the water in the entire development goes into one of 2 ponds. That's the big one is the one you alluded to. There's also a smaller one behind the multifamily development that you really don't see, and that's by design also, that handles 90% of the stormwater that falls on the site. Mitigates it, lets it out in a metered fashion, and so we achieve the no net increase to downstream property owners. That was one of the design criteria of the overall project from day one.